Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a special Last Oasis informational video. I'm going to give you everything you need to know about this early access game about to launch very soon. So come with me, let's go. The Earth has stopped rotating during a cataclysmic event that now splits itself between two extremes. One half is completely cold and frozen, the other half perpetually burnt under the scorching sun. In between is a very small strip of land that constantly rotates, and this is where you find yourself as a last survivor. Water is the driving force behind Last Oasis. It's going to be the most valuable commodity. You need it to travel between the oases. You'll also need it obviously to survive in the desert environments. It also helps you to respawn on your massive walkers, a big part of Last Oasis. No dinosaurs here, no helicopters. It's all about these very unique walkers. Some are designed strictly for solo players, others can support your huge clans as you wage war, trade and forge friendships with fellow survivors across the unique and varied biomes. It's not all just sand, don't worry. It's not just other players you have to worry about, including the environments. You'll also come across a variety of different mobs, whether or not they are the Rupu, a humanoid style ape that you'll often come across various different classes and types, or big huge creatures like this sandworm. Mobs and creatures are obviously going to be important through your progress, getting resources and trying to assert your dominance over the different oases. How it all actually works? Well, at the moment during early access launch they're starting with 100 players per server, but they have ideas they may be able to increase this up to 150. Each server or oasis has a limited time span, with some lasting up to 7 days, some only lasting an hour. These special event servers may require you to go and take on an event creature like the sandworm, or possibly even caves filled with Rupos, the creatures. Donkey Crew, the developers, can pretty much put whatever type of oasis they want on the map. They can control exactly what's going on, adding different style maps for each occasion, depending on how popular the servers are, whether or not they need a certain specific wave of different events, or they need just long progression with longer times. These oases or grids, as you can see, are quite honeycomb facing, and you can literally enter and exit out of each side. Depending on how you do so, it may require more water to get from one to the other. Remember, water is that valuable resource that's needed. Otherwise, you can go and log off safely on the edges of all of these servers. They've finally fixed the offline base raiding problem. You can also pack up your bases, but we'll get to that in a second. But in terms of servers, you can clearly see what's mapped out, what grids will give you certain resources, what ones have trading stations, and what are the possibilities it'll have certain creatures. Of course, if you hadn't worked out by now, it is all PvP. There are no save spaces other than the starting cradle oases that you begin on, and even they have PvP enabled. So it's all about making sure you know what to expect. You can play this game as a solo player, travelling across the oases, trading and being under the protection of other players too. Once a server is claimable by a certain type of walker, that clan has a duty then to protect players, because you'll be paying taxes towards whoever owns that server. It's no easy task, and it tends to be end game content claiming a whole server. But when you do, you will also be under their protection against pirates. If you die, you lose a special bonus that gets attributed to the larger clan. So it's in the larger clan's favour to go and hunt down any pirates or attackers, random strangers appearing on your server. They get a 10% cut of taxes from you, as well as your bonuses, and you get the protection for the bigger clans. Each oasis will give you a countdown and tell you exactly how long it's going to be up for, and don't worry if you get caught unawares. In real life, if something happens and you're not able to log out or get back onto the oasis, it will simply move you as long as you've stored one of your walkers in the preferred slot. It's kind of like a little mini save system. You may find yourself on a different grid eventually when you do log back in, but you won't have lost all your progress. The only caveat is that you have to make sure you log off at the edges of whatever server oasis that you're on. There is a function for logging off no matter where you are on a oasis, but this will take a good few minutes. So this will also prevent from people PvP logging off, attacking other players and quickly jumping off so they don't get harmed. This will be a big no-no, as that timer does mean that you'll take significant damage. Each oasis is huge. You will need to learn how to build and make your walkers and pilot them effectively if you want to progress at a decent rate. You can sure walk across the desert, but you'll be renting out a lot of your water supplies. Each Oasis houses its own small mini ecosystem, pocket Oases. You'll find various different resources in each one of these, and obviously the big choice in the Oasis grids of servers means that you'll always find different resources, and it'll be more profitable to go and spend time on one server over than another, and this will build up to this war and trade aspects. There are day and night cycles in some of these Oases, as well as some unique climates. You will find lots of mist and boggy places, and this adds all to the allure and beauty of the Oasis maps. Exotic and strange looking fauna, as well as more recognisable trees and bushes, is what you expect to find in Last Oasis. Bogs, forests, salt flats, each biome has very unique properties, and so getting used to what you'll need and where you need to go for certain stuff is definitely going to take a bit of time, but it will be rewarding, and it's certainly pretty as you explore. There's various different progression systems in Last Oasis, including a tech tree with varied blueprints that you can unlock using knowledge fragments. You get these when you kill other creatures and mobs, and also periodically when you reach certain levels. You can also find them by looting ruins and wrecks of other walkers that you find littered across the Oases, as well of course as raiding other players or taking them off their dead bodies. 5 skills so far or tech tree families are vitamins, equipment, crafting, construction and walkers. The vitamins will control exactly how long potions last, what effect they have on you, and generally how much benefit you get from it. Equipment is things obviously like weapons, tools and stuff that helps you traverse the environment, like your grapple hook. The crafting tree is all about different workstations, as well as things like ballistas and items that you can place on top of your walkers or your bases. Construction is your base building parts, and then you've got the walkers themselves. There doesn't seem to be too much gating off as far as I found out during the alpha. If you find enough shards and you've got enough resources, you can go ahead and unlock as many or different style blueprints as you want, as obviously as long as you're following the tree. But there was nothing saying that anything was locked off to use level 30 or 40. And then you've got something a bit more traditional like player levels, where you can increase things like your health, your stamina, your agility, as well as your vitamin intake and how much or how long your vitamins last. Don't worry, this isn't Atlas where it's really just a hodgepodge of items you need to fill up some imaginary bars, or like the pretty much useless items you've seen in Scum. This actually vitamin intake pretty much just means potions that will give you benefits for either carrying more items, help you in combat, or help you in mobility. You can also upgrade your walkers so they can enable more modifications, as well as increase storage capacities on lots of them so that you've got always more space. In fact, this involves quite a lot of getting flots, which is the in-game currency, and this is what you'll be earning by trading with other players. Of course, you'll be trading goods like wood and other stone resources, the core basics, but there are definitely times when you just want to sell your items to the trade station, and in return you will get these clam looking style flots, and this is what you can use to upgrade your walkers. When it comes to the character and items and stuff that you can use, you have 2 weapon slots or primary slots. You then have a hotbar that you can put various different resources and consumables in, and then you've got your inventory, which is relatively small, but you need to make good use of the walkers and the storage capabilities. You also obviously have water storage containers, and you have a slot for a backpack, which will give you more space. Typical armor slots you would come to expect, and of course as you progress through the tech tree you can unlock very different armors that will give you more protection or suit specific situations. Weapons and of course combat is a huge part of this game. The developers came from modding Mount and Blade back in the day, and they've stuck with the directional combat that you might have been used to playing games like For Honor or more recently Mordu. There's various different weapons including two-handed staves, swords, as well as pikes and spears. You'll all be using these in combination alongside javelins too. And while your player skills can be buffed and you can increase certain things like damage output, it still relies a lot on your skill with these weapons and your timing and parries. The devs have also took a lot of inspiration from Dark Souls as well, all in all making pretty unique combat system with the melee focus, but there are plans to bring in much more long range weapons in the future. And for console scrubs like me, they are going to be introducing gamepad support in the future too. So that's hand-to-hand combat on foot, but what's it actually like on the walkers? And this is where it gets really exciting. Ballistas, turrets, you name it, you'll be able to customize and add to even the smallest of walkers with some of these devices to help you take on other clans and their bases. There are 13 different style walkers to choose from, and they can benefit you in different ways. And depending on how big your clan is, you can have huge giant walkers that could be firing off scatter shotguns, harpoons, as well as an array of projectile ballistas, or you can have speed and agility. You've even got ones that can pull other walkers, and you can aim specifically for different weak points on all the walkers. If you want to immobilize one, taking out its legs is probably going to be one of the best ways. If you want to slow something down, then taking out its wings is another. The effort required though to completely destroy one of these walkers requires a lot of endgame gear at certain points. You can pretty much hack away at certain parts of this with just some regular tools, but the core bulk of these walkers is pretty much impenetrable unless you've got the right type of weapons. So not all is lost. If you do get attacked by a rival clan or player, always try and get back to your base if you've run out of spawn points. Water is a big component of your walkers. The more water you can carry, the more spawn points you're allowed on your walker. If you don't have any water, you won't be able to spawn on your walker, and you'll have to rely on sand beds or beds in bases nearby. And bases can be temporary too. You can have certain bases that you'll be able to pack up and carry with larger walkers, or you can have permanent bases that will stay there, but they will be susceptible when that Oasis wipes. It all just depends on what you need. They're normally more for fortifying a spot in case you're expecting a big attack from a rival clan. The walkers take a little bit of time to construct in terms of gathering resources in different stages, so it can help to make sure you planned it all out and you've got enough resources to complete the build fully. The larger ones will need you to use your grappling hook, which is something I'm not mentioned too much, but is a core component of the game. From reaching hard to get fruits to make special potions, or using it to clamber and traverse the trajectory and cliffs that form many parts of the oases, you'll be using your claws or your grappling hook a lot. You can also obviously use it to get on top of the rivals' ships too, and it's a very important feature to make sure your stamina levels are okay, as it's affecting how long you can actually hang on to something. When it comes to crafting, you might need to plan stuff out. It can take a bit of time to boil up, especially cactuses that lead to lots of water, or distilling impure water into pure water. Of course, it is a survival game, so you're going to be foraging and gathering lots of different resources, but it's not as grindy as you would imagine. They've tinkered and tailored with it during the beta and reduced the amount of grind there for players. There's various other crafting tables that you can also put on top of some walkers or pack and store away if you need to get them out at any one point. All in all, Last Oasis really does solve the problems of offline raiding. You can safely log out if you're just on your little walker somewhere or on foot. If you've got a base, you can pack up the majority of your items and make sure it's secure before you log off. Otherwise, if you want to hold points down, you can put more permanent pieces, and that will lend itself to more emergent gameplay as other players try and work out why you've got some sort of fortification there and why was it needed. I've hopefully given you a bit of a taster to what to expect from Last Oasis, some of the mechanics in the game, how servers, how the world works, but now I'm just going to rattle off some more boring functional stuff that may change over time. So, the early access price at the moment is around $24 or so with 10% off. It will increase to $29.99, and I'm sure we'll see it increase once it comes out of early access. They plan to be in early access for 1 or 2 years and constantly update the game. They've got much more plans to add content, creatures, mobs, monsters, as well as various items and more walkers. As I mentioned, the servers can hold up to 100 players, and it does look like there's potential for hosting your own style servers in the future who are supplied by Nitrado. The developers are fully focused on PC, but they've not ruled out a console launch eventually if they get more stable in early access or they come to the end and full release of the game. Last Oasis is shaping up to be something pretty special in my opinion. I sunk about 12 hours into it during one of the very last stage betas before launch of early access, and I really liked what I saw, so I'm going to be sinking a hell of a lot of time into this. Expect plenty of guides and tutorials in the coming days from me. Donkey Crew, the developers, have seen the mistakes that so many other developers of survival and MMO games have made. Offline raiding, how to keep the economies bouncing, how to stop maps and areas becoming stale, and if it all comes together, Last Oasis could be one of the biggest games of the year. Its unique walker combat is really thrilling, and the diverse biomes, despite most of it seemingly in the sand, is really standing out for me. So for sure, go and check this game right now. Give it a wish list on Steam. Check it out, maybe buy it while it's on discount, and I'll be supporting this game for the next good few weeks. Hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it useful. If you have, please make sure you leave a like and come and join my Discord if you want to join my clan. I'll see you guys in the sand dunes very, very soon.